Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Now let's get straight into it and look at the latest FAQs. This is the second round of FAQs for Warhammer Kill Team. So to very quickly go over everything, Pathfinder drones are Defense 3, Pathfinder medic got fixed, Blast and Savior protocols have been changed, Stand of Fire has been changed, Daka Dash has been fixed, Deathwatch Sergeant loadout has been changed, Demon Icon Bearer attacks have been buffed, there's a climbing over traversable change. Blast hits things correctly now. Hunterclade Ruststalker blades. And the Warp Coven slow power is not a modifier. There you go. Also, certain abilities like Hammerhand and Lurk from Grey Knights and Tyranids are not part of the damage of the attack and so can still go through abilities that stop the attack. Guys, this is not as extensive as the last ones, but I am going to try and break them down for you. Possibly not all of them, because I might have genuinely just missed some, because, for example, the designer's commentary, they didn't show you which ones are new, so I might have just missed. However, we do have, I think, some pretty good changes. We didn't answer absolutely everything, because if you don't know, and if you're not currently a member of my Discord, the majority of these questions come from my Discord, where there is an official FAQ channel, which, due to my involvement in the community, I have access to a document where I can put all of those questions directly to the playtesters, or they send it to the devs and all this good stuff. So, if you're one of those people that has been writing questions up, thank you, because my gosh, I don't want to be writing up all of the rules debates we have in that Discord. So if you'll do that for me, that's a really big help, thanks. We didn't answer everything, but we have answered some important things. Just to very quickly give a proviso. For some reason, the Pathfinder's document is not currently up on the English site. It is up on the French, Chinese, and German, and I think now the Spanish site, but we don't quite have it in English. This is not a balance patch, very clearly. This is an FAQ and an errata. Okay, let's get straight into it, but right after I have to say that if you're a subscriber to my channel, I would like to give you a big double hello. Wow, a bit of wholesomeness in all of our lives in these troubling times, isn't that delightful? If you want that in this next video, like, subscribe, leave a comment right now. Let's get through it all. First things first, we actually have something right off in the Compendium. I obviously just did a video about Deathwatch, and they've changed the Sergeant a little bit. So, this is again, this is not a balance patch, clearly, but they obviously just saw this now, whereas they didn't see it the last time. They've allowed the Deathwatch Veteran Watch Sergeant to take a Deathwatch bolt gun and a power weapon. I don't think this really changes anything power level wise, that's why it's not really a big deal, but there you go. Cool. And we actually get two changes here, which is pretty interesting. Firstly, let's cover Blast. They fixed Blast. Blast can now hit models in engagement range. There you go. They've slightly changed the way it works. You just have to be visible, not a valid target. If you're visible and within range, you are now a valid target. There you go. Cool. That is how Blast should work. It looks like they've also changed drop, but I'm not quite sure how. I know they have highlighted text for us there, but I think it feels like they're just defining what drop means again. I don't think they've changed what drop does. So if you know how drop works, it still works that way. And soon, I have a advanced rules guide that you make mistakes in coming out, where I quite clearly go over how drop and climb work. So I'm just going to leave that in case it hasn't been changed, this FAQ. Commandos, yes, good. So commandos are one of the factions that need a little look at when it comes to power, or at least that's what people currently think. They have, luckily, changed Daka Dash. Now, if you weren't aware, Daka Dash had an interesting interaction where you could give Daka Boy dynamite, and then you could throw a dynamite for only 1 AP, which, yeah, was super broken, but they've removed that by saying you can only use the Daka Dash with a Daka shooter. That is obviously how it should have been. Cool. I'm not sure that they've changed anything with the vet guard here, but I will note, because they have changed it elsewhere, the medic veteran can only revive another operative. Keyword there, another. They have changed that for all medics, including the Pathfinders. No medic can revive themselves. Has to be another operative. Hunterclade. These are the admech from the White Dwarf. They just had an issue with their attack characteristic, where they changed it to 5, which is what it should be. I think before it was 3 or 4. Now, obviously, so this is all brand new, which is cool. So let's have a quick look. Let's have a full read of this. I know that nobody plays novitiates, but you know, I've got to do my job, right? So one of the tac ops, Purged with Flame, had a weird thing that had a lot of people questioning what it really meant. It made Inferno X a special rule. They've changed it, so it now makes it a critical hit rule, which is what it is. Cool. Acts of Faith, Faithful Blessing. When a friendly novitiate operative is fighting in combat or making a shooting attack, or a shooting attack is being made against it, in the roll attack dice step for the former, or the roll defense dice step for the latter of that combat or shooting attack. I'm sure that makes sense if you play novitiates. Let's just say that. Blinding Aura. Now, I've seen lots of people in my Discord talking about Blinding Aura, but I'm just going to read it. I don't really know why. Until the end of that activation, while that friendly operative is more than circle from that enemy operative, bullet point 1, that friendly operative is treated as being in cover. Bullet point 2, while that friendly operative has a conceal order, it is always treated as having a conceal order, regardless of any other rules, e.g. vantage point. That seems pretty clear cut to me. Obviously, they added those 2 bullet points. I don't know what it was before that, but easy peasy. Good. We have a few instances of regardless of any other rules that come up, and that is, as far as we know, always the definitive line. If it says regardless of any other rules, it can't be changed. This always takes precedence over whatever else you try to do to it. We then get Burning Advance on the Novitiate Pagatus. You can only select a Minotaur and Flamer for this action shooting attack. Oh god. Were people changing their grenades to be super Inferno? That would be really good. I didn't know you could do that. That's really nice. I mean, you can't now. And then we also have the Hospitaller, which is being given the same medic treatment. Has to be another model. Honestly, I thought just everything already had another in the medic thing, so my bad. We come to the Compendium. Now, this is the designer's commentary. This is where they are answering questions. This is more the FAQ side of things, and the we messed up and need to change the wording. There's not all of these are new, I know, but let's read over one that I know is new, which is Grey Knights. So the Grey Knights, can the hexagrammic ward equipment prevent psychic actions that don't have a psychic power from being resolved? Psychic actions, for example, from the Warp Coven's attack op. Yes. So that does actually boost the power of the hexagrammic ward. When I've been Grey Knights and faced Thousand Suns in the past, or Warp Coven, sorry, I always just kind of defaulted to having 5 psychic grenades, psych out grenades. Now that hexagrammic ward actually majorly messes with one of their tac ops, so that is now looking very attractive. Now I'm going to read something from the Hunter Cadre, which is the Tau in Compendium, if you're not aware, just because, I don't know if this is new, but I think this might be, and certainly it's something that gets brought up on a relatively regular basis. So, when using the standard fire tactical ploy, how do the ranged weapons critical hit rules work, if any? So the standard fire tactical ploy essentially means you can use your ranged weapon stat line as a melee weapon. Only critical hit rules that specify when an operative fights in combat with the weapon can be used. For example, the Mortal Wound X critical hit rule specifies each time a friendly operative makes a shooting attack with this weapon. Therefore, that critical hit rule will have no effect when the operative fights in combat. So this is just a nice way of them pointing out, like, look, we specified this and we're sticking to it. You are not making a shooting attack within engagement range. You are picking the profile of a ranged weapon to use in melee, which is subtly different, but Cool. Good to know that they're being pedantic so the rules lawyers can really get on them on that. Now we have the core rules here. So here's one that is going to come up quite often because of course Octarius is essentially the official terrain for Kill Team, at least at the moment. If a terrain feature has a traversable part on top of a vantage point, e.g. a rampart, how does an operative move over it when dropping from the vantage point or climbing to the vantage point? When dropping from the vantage point, the operative must traverse the rampart first. When climbing to the vantage point, the operative can choose to climb the rampart as part of its climb, instead of traversing it. Note that, for the latter, the operative would ignore the small drop from the top of the rampart to the vantage point if the distance is less than circle. But when you climb, you go up, and instead of having to go up to circle, traverse, horizontal move, which will take your move and your dash, you go up to circle, and then because that is the amount that you have to go up, because they are 3 inches to the floor, 4 inches to the top of the rampart, you can then just move in. So you can climb a little bit easier if you're climbing from the wall side now, is all that means. We then come to the Novitiate's Designer's Commentary. When specifically during a shooting attack should the Blinding Aura Act of Faith be used? When a Novitiate operative is selected as a target. Note that this could mean they are no longer a valid target, at which point your opponent must select a different valid target. Yeah, so the question here came about because if you use it at a certain point, it's entirely possible that the enemy then cannot shoot anyone. And then what then? Is that legal to do, etc.? And yes, it is. And then Blinding Aura Act of Faith lasts until the end of the activation. How long does it last when used during the Overwatch action? Until the end of the Overwatch action. Again, this is just super rules lawyery pedantry. Technically, an Overwatch is not an activation. It is an action. Therefore, if you have to use something in an activation or that lasts till the end of an activation and you use it when it's not in an activation, when does it end? And then finally, Warp Coven. If an enemy operative has a rule that allows it to ignore modifiers to its movement characteristic, can it ignore the subtracted distance from the ephemeral instability psychic power? No, as ephemeral instability does not modify the operative's movement characteristic. So that's just one of those super weird rules where it's not, like, it's not modifying it, it's changing it. Something like that. And it's like, okay. If that's the way you want to word it, sure. So to very quickly go over everything, Pathfinder drones are defense 3, Pathfinder medic got fixed, blast and savior protocols have been changed, stand of fire has been changed, Daka Dash has been fixed, Deathwatch Sergeant loadout has been changed, Demon Icon Bearer attacks have been buffed, there's a climbing over traversable change, blast hits things correctly now, Hunterclade Ruststalker blades, and the Warp Coven slow power is not a modifier. There you go. Also, certain abilities like Hammerhand and Lurk from Grey Knights and Tyranids are not part of the damage of the attack and so can still go through abilities that stop the attack. Okay, everybody, well, thank you for watching till the end of this. I know that was a little bit unfocused. I hope it helped. I hope my little summary that I've hopefully edited to be at the beginning of this video so that you can know what's changed has helped you. All in all, fine changes. I think all of them needed to happen. It's good. Can't really complain. Yes. Thumbs up. I hope we get a little bit more. I've been a smidge... I mean, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that this is not the big balance patch, okay? I'm thinking that Talons got their change in the FAQ the last time because they were so broken that GW was just like, we have to change this. But obviously they're being a touch more cautious with Pathfinders. Perhaps because now they know that we've got 6 teams out, and you know what, yes, they're tough, but the specialist teams do have a chance against Pathfinders. They're not completely broken like Talons were. We'll let things simmer for a little bit longer and then drop an actual balance update. That's my hope. It's my guess. Maybe I'm being a touch too optimistic. I don't know. Because if we're not getting any changes, then then the only way Pathfinders can be fixed is if future teams are better than them, I guess. And then we have to talk about power creep, and I don't really want to do that, my gosh. But anyway, if you watched this far, thank you very much. And as you know, anyone that makes it to the end of the video gets a big triple hello. Wow. Sumimasen. Konnichiwa. I hope you've had a good day. Continue to have a good day. Goodbye.